Welcome to the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa. Today is WorldPressFreedomDay, and in commemorating today's activities, staff at the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa will be sharing their experiences in reporting and documenting human rights activities, as well as the challenges and their most embarrassing moments they face on the field. Today's theme is on shaping a future of rights. Freedom of expression as a driver for all other human rights.
Thanks to the advancement of technology, the world has become a global village. Unfortunately, tons of people, especially youths, have abused this advancement through the use of their social media handles, being Facebook, TikTok, and much more.
In line with the theme of this year's celebration of Press Freedom Day, I think that it is very important. The theme is coming at a time when the Cameroonian community is facing a lot of challenges when it comes to human rights, the promotion and protection of human rights, especially within the context of the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon.
Shaping the future of other rights and freedom of expression, it is very relevant because it requires the collaboration of all stakeholders. And I must say that human rights are interrelated, human rights are interdependent, and human rights are indivisible, meaning that freedom of expression cuts across all human rights. And when people can advocate for their rights, they can enjoy all other rights, be it first generation, second generation, or third generation. You know, when you are afraid to speak, when people cannot speak freely, when people cannot write freely, how will you understand that a place like Akwaya, a place like Furawa, a place like Kwakwa does not have a hospital? So freedom of expression is at the center whereby all human rights issues can be communicated, whereby the stakeholders, that be the duty bearers, which is the state, can only get the stakes of human rights in a country whereby people are given room to talk. How will the state understand what is happening in remote areas whereby people don't have schools, people don't have hospitals, people don't have roads? It is only when we stand and talk. Freedom of expression is at the heart of all human rights. And I must say that this is a collective exercise. If you cannot speak as an individual, you can speak as a group. You can speak as a community. We live in communities and we can advocate for development in a particular community. We live in an area whereby we are in associations. We can speak through freedom of association.
Some of the basic challenges faced by women in acquiring their basic rights, first is stereotypes. Women have been made to believe that they are secondary objects. As a result, they tend to restrain themselves or limit themselves in knowing their rights. Also, the socialization process has made them to believe that they are not woman enough. As a result, they believe that rights that are meant to be human rights are rights meant only for the male gender.
They've resorted to acts such as cyberbullying, cyber attacks, and hate speech to trample on the rights of lots of people around.
Given our context, it is very relevant that all Cameroonians, those who reside in Cameroon, should be fighting in one way or the other to promote and protect human rights.
When it comes to human rights reporting, we have been using social media platforms. We use our websites. We use different platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We use LinkedIn, for example, to pass our message to the public.
While working on social media, will advise the masses of people that before you share any report or any happening, you should check the veracity of your information, and before you utter an insult to your fellow human being, you should empathize and also find out how that action is going to weigh down on you.
Women need to build their capacity, gain knowledge on the different rights, know them, and also defend them when they are being violated. Also, we have to move away from this socialization process. We have to do a lot of deconstructing breaking some of the stereotypes and all of that, so that women can be able to come to the state where they know their worth and can stand for their rights.
It's a demanding job, and it requires those who are committed, those who are born. You have inherent interest to fight for human rights, because it is a job you do with little or no pay.
Within Cameroon, human rights defenders face a lot of threats. Journalists face threats. That is especially surveillance. Most of journalists' phones, human rights defenders' phones are tracked by either government or non-government actors. And you know, surveillance means that if you are going somewhere, you are going to do human rights reporting or monitor human rights or follow up a case somewhere, you might be tracked. And you know, if you are reporting against something which concerns a state, for example, you may be tracked down. And if you are also reporting against these non-state actors, you might also be tracked down. And this tracking is the results are physical. You might be attacked with weapons. For example, you might be arrested and detained, or you might be kidnapped. So it is challenging. The reporting is challenging. The human rights reporting is challenging.
Some of the embarrassing human rights violations that happen on the field, I mean, it's very shocking, it's dehumanizing, and it leaves us in a limbo state. And also, others will be people's mindsets. Especially when it comes to gender-based violence, violations against women and girls, people have their mindset that it's difficult to deconstruct. So usually, there's a lot of sensitization and awareness reason to be done for people to actually understand the work that you have to do as a human rights defender and activist on the field.
For the past 5 years or 6 years, within the English-speaking regions of Cameroon, we've had situations where we had to go down to the field to actually investigate what is happening. We have a plethora of cases, ranging from what happened with the Gabu incident, ranging with what happened with Baby March, and a host of others. We've gone down to the field and we had bitter experiences about what is happening. And I want to say that these are things that when it comes to human rights, monitoring, reporting and documentation, it requires some special skills. Not everybody can engage in human rights monitoring, documentation and reporting, and we discovered that you must be trained, you must understand the principles that govern human rights monitoring. For example, the principle of do no harm, the principle of investigating, find out what is happening in the field before you engage in some of these activities.
If you monitor, you document human rights and you fail to report, it means that it is not going to reach the audience. And the purpose of monitoring and documenting is to educate the public on human rights issues, and also to urge the parties or authorities, both national and international, to intervene in case there is need for justice for victims and for the perpetrators to be brought to book. So reporting human rights violations is very important, and the reporting cannot go without maybe online digital platforms.
We have several laws, legal instruments that provide for human rights, and there is a lot when it comes to the effectiveness, when it comes to the application of some of these laws. And we understand that the state is under an obligation to respect and protect some of these rights.
I believe women can overcome these challenges by speaking out, expressing their rights to talk, their freedom of speech. Women need to deconstruct the beliefs, socialization process, the way they have been brought up to know that they don't have rights or they have very limited rights. They need to acquire the power to have a voice, to speak out. They also have to gain knowledge on their different rights, because sometimes also ignorance is also an issue. They need to acquire knowledge on their different rights, know their different rights, and know how to stand for them when they are being abused.
We are out to protect the rights of children, people, and women especially.
We are working on the basis of being neutral, impartial, and we ensure that everything is done to see that those human beings enjoy their rights free of any intrusion.
Freedom of speech is very important when it comes to the promotion and protection of human rights, because if that is not guaranteed, it therefore means that at the end of the day, no one is safe, because, for example, journalists, at times they are human rights defenders because they report news about human rights violations. Human rights defenders, at the same time, they act sometimes like they report. That is citizen journalism. We report at the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa.
What I would say is, I know there's a lot of attack, especially on press men, especially within the Anglophone context. Speak the truth, stay with the truth, and defend the truth.
If we want sustainable human rights promotion and protection, then people must talk today.
We face a lot of challenges when it comes to online reporting, because nowadays digital platforms are the best way to share information. And when you share this information, it reaches a wider audience.
Freedom of expression is at the heart of human rights, and every other human right is linked to freedom of expression.
I stand for freedom of expression with appropriate fact-checking.
There is hope. In as much as we are alive, there is hope. We need the Malalas. We need the Nelson Mandelas. We need the Helen Warrens. We need the George Bukwati. There is hope. It can change in a twinkling of an eye.